Carousel up! Mega thrusters are go! Let's go! Voltron forward!
Welcome, Voltron fans. This is Mark Morrell, your host for Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast. We're here for another exciting episode of Let's Voltron, and this time we have a special guest. We're not doing an episode review, so I'm going to bring on my co-host, Greg Tyler. Welcome, Greg.
Well, hello, Mark, and hello, special guest who we've not yet introduced. It's kind of nice to have a break from episode reviews. They're fun, but it's the most fun that I personally have on this podcast is talking with the fine folks who are fellow Voltron fans. And this person is certainly one of those. And we've had the pleasure of meeting him in person more than once. And he's been on the podcast once before, too. So you want to take it away, Mark?
Yes. So the person that we're bringing on has been on the podcast before as part of our anniversary show that we just did last December. And during that, we were talking to a bunch of people from VoltCon. And this time we decided to have him on all by himself because he has contributed so much to VoltCon and to cosplay and to Voltron. So we want to bring him back one more time. Eric Stocker, welcome, Eric.
Hey, thanks, guys. Greetings from Colossal Con 2022 in Kalahari in Sandusky, Ohio. Thanks for having me on. It's a great pleasure to be here.
It's great to see you. And I see you have a very large friend behind you named Voltron.
Yeah, you know, I've got to have him showing, representing there. So,
nice.
A little buddy over my shoulder.
Yeah, he looks like he's just hanging back, chilling out.
Yep. Well, I've entered him into the contest, the cosplay contest for Saturday. So, see what happens.
Cool. And you had won the costume contest at VoltCon 2019 with that, right?
Yes, the original cosplay contest. I wasn't even sure what it was going to be like. I walked in and everybody's like, "You got to enter the cosplay contest." Like, okay, show me how. And it was just some really good cosplays there. And Marika Levine was the runner-up of Voltron. And quite honestly, I looked at hers and I thought she should have won, but you know, she said she thought I should have won. So I guess we canceled each other out and let the people decide. So, nice. But it was a lot of fun, especially during the award presentation, because Savannah gave me a Funko Pop of Voltron, and her presentation to me was, "Congratulations, you have won you." So, I'm like, okay, this is great. I love it. So it's still sitting on my shelf in a place of honor.
Nice.
So can we take a look at that first year costume that you had?
That's the one that breaks down into the lions. As far as I've been able to tell from everyone, that is the first individually worn Voltron cosplay that breaks down into the lion form and then comes back into a Voltron.
So can you describe these pieces? You right now are the Black Lion.
I am the Black Lion. It's just the chest piece and backpack where the wings for Voltron are actually folded up just like Black Lion does. And inside the backpack, as you can see, I've got the pseudo claws, if you will, over my hands. And those actually are designed to tuck up inside the backpack so I can carry everything with me. Each lion, including Black, has a compartment where the tail folds up and hides away. And every lion does it, including Black. And that was probably the biggest challenge because I'd never done anything like this before. So I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could. And I think I succeeded.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've seen this costume close up, and you had given me a close-up tour of the costume at VoltCon 2021. The legs of the individual lions fold up, right?
Yes, every lion folds up. They, as you can see, they fold into themselves. All of the cosplays that I've seen for Voltrons, which I've never seen a bad one, but they all have representations from the toy line where the lion's legs are on the outside, they're all folded up. I never really liked that idea myself. I thought I wanted to stay true to the show as much as possible.
Mhm.
So I thought, if I, what if I could make the legs disappear? At first, I wasn't even going to make the legs, and I thought, I saw so many of these, and the first thing I thought is, what if they could make those legs actually work and make the lions? It'd look like the toy line, but at least they'd have the short stubby legs, but they'd have the legs.
Mhm.
So the science of trying to figure out how to make those legs lock while they're in position as both Voltron and the lions was a little beyond what I had ability for at the time. So I thought, well, what about if I could just make compartments where I could fold them up and have the compartments hide? And I went with that idea. I did a test run on it, and Green Line there was actually the first one I made, because when you're making things out of foam, the rounding it is probably the hardest thing, making a somewhat circle. And I thought, if I can't do Green Line, that'll tell me really quickly that I shouldn't even try this.
I think that's a great idea. Starting with one of the toughest things, because
Yeah.
you're going to have to get to it eventually. Why not start with it?
Exactly. So it was a challenge, and it took a lot of R&D, but the end result was fantastic. I mean, when I walked into VoltCon with it, I was actually really scared, because I'm going into a convention that Voltron is what this is, and everybody was really super receptive about it. I felt bad, because I think I was in Franklin Kofod's panel when I walked in, and everybody stopped and cheered, and I was like, oh, I'm interrupting this poor man's panel. This is not good. So, but
I have to tell you that that happens a lot. Whenever Voltron walks in on a panel, everybody pays attention to Voltron.
Yeah. Well, I can't say. I mean, I think there was a picture out there from Pete White that he took and posted. It was just basically me after I just walked in, and you couldn't see it under the mask, but I had a very, very large grin on my face, because I felt pretty popular there for a second. That was good.
So I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second, so that
Okay.
you can show us that sword that we were just looking at.
Fantastic. Have it right here. We have to scoot back a little bit, because it's start with the hilt, which, as you can see just from my hands, I'm 6'2", so this thing comes up to about, I think I measured it 5'2". And it just keeps going and going and going. It's got an aluminum frame, because I remade it. The original one had just EVA foam. I wanted to make one that was going to be a little more fun, so this has got an aluminum frame with some special qualities on the inside, and if I push this button, I get a little bit of daylight.
Wow.
So my blazing sword is truly blazed,
Yes.
and it really looks a lot better that way. Of course, if you look directly at it when you turn it on, you can't see anything for a few seconds.
What kind of bulbs are they?
Those are just those household LED strips.
Wow.
You can buy it at a hardware store. It's a big roll. I think there was 100 feet in there. What I did was I actually converted it from AC to battery conversion. They actually run on 8 AAA batteries. It's the voltage that's the important part. So I bought 2 AAA battery holders of 4 each. So each AAA battery is 1.5 volts. So there's 6 volts per container, and I ran it in series, making it 12 volts, and then it runs the batteries.
Nice.
How long do the batteries last?
I've not tested it, because I've always had a moment to be like, I've got to use it now, and I try to change. I know they don't last long, so I would say probably just a couple of hours. Okay. So when I walk around with it, I usually have it off. If somebody wants a picture, then I'll turn it on, and it's a lot of fun to get everybody's reaction. For some reason, everybody loves the weapons. It's kind of funny that way. I don't know why. The last VoltCon, there was a lot of pictures shared where everybody was holding the sword up, and even Tiffany from the Voltron store was holding it. And that was a lot for her, because that's almost as tall as she is.
Mhm.
So it was something, but it was a lot of fun. Everybody gets a kick out of it. It's just fun to share.
So there was also a thing that you had done for the Castle of Lions room, the main room in VoltCon.
Yeah.
Yes, the mini Voltron,
Yeah.
or as we call the mini me. Well, this one's kind of interesting because I know Greg and I had some random conversations with this a few times, where you have a lot of times when you do things like this, you have to sacrifice form with function. So in this cosplay, my main one, the lions, they don't look necessarily like lions. I think I always laugh and say the green lion looks like some kind of small dog or something, and maybe the yellow and blue look like the Imperial Walkers off of Star Wars. So I always get a little chuckle out of it. So what I wanted to do on this one, and this is Voltron put together, what I wanted to do with this one is actually focus on the lions themselves. Wanted to make them look really like the lions, because as you can see, Voltron's proportions, I think it looks good, but it looks a little off because, again, you've got the function and form. If you want to make something look good, you have to figure out whether it's going to be the lion or Voltron, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very difficult to come up with that sweet spot
Yes.
between them.
Yes, exactly. The one thing I think I've noticed that, like Greg, with your vehicle Voltron that you made, the more components that it has, the easier it is to make that happen. But as we know with the Lion Force, you've got 5 components. So what's your poison? So I think that I made the cosplay look, the Voltron is better, and this little mini version, the lions look better. And that was the focus. So as you can see in the pictures here, though, you've got the Voltron, but you've also got the lion's legs that are sitting there. And how I designed that to be is those pieces of each lion just lift off of those stands. So when they're sitting there, they look like the lions, and it actually just looks like one solid unit. But when you pick up any of the lions and just go with that, then they break off. There's a good one there of yellow.
Okay.
You just sit there. It's a little on a stand. If you look right below his chest piece, right by, well, what I always say is about his knee, you'll see that yellow bar there.
Yeah.
And that's just 2 paint sticks, the paint stirrers. All that is that wrapped in a little bit of small foam and painted. So when it's sitting on there, it actually looks like it's part of it. But when you lift that off, it's just the stand holding all the legs together.
That is so clever. I mean, I remember when you seeing you remove the lions from their cradles, their legs, their leg cradles, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
the bodies and assembling the 5 pieces. What an ingenious design.
It was a lot of fun. I wanted to do it because I wanted to try to, there's Black Lion there. The great thing about Black Lion, this was really the one that challenged me the most. This was the first one I made because this was going to be what had Voltron, was going to be everything. So this is actually on the base where the feet are at. There's on the right hand side where the leg is actually moved back a little bit. That's got some PVC pipe on it where it's actually bolted to the board. And the one on the left is actually a piece of iron pipe for actual structural support. So it's running all the way up in through the inside of that. So at the part where the leg meets the shoulder area, right at the black, there's 2 holes in each, or 1 hole in each arm. And those pipe go into there where there's actually more PVC pipe to connect into it. And that's where all the structural support. So basically from the neck all the way back to the back of the feet go, that's all free hanging.
Wow.
So, and I had to make it that way because if you stand Voltron up, you can't really put his legs in a movable position right now. With my knowledge, I couldn't do it. So I just decided it's all PVC structural skeleton all throughout. So there's PVC pipe. It's one main piece back through the spine, and it branches off into a T at the hips, and then the legs continue on to the end. And you see where the feet are at the very end. Those actually pop off when you form Voltron, and they have the holes in there so they can fit into the PVC pipe that's in yellow and blue lines. So it actually all connects together, basically like a big Lego set.
Okay.
That's
So
a great design.
thank you. It was a challenge to make, and it actually became a lot bigger than what I had originally planned, because I don't know if it was just me letting it get away from myself or just because of necessity. But I thought I was going to make something a little smaller, and it turned out to be a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. And I'm like, I hope I can move this thing. My original plan for it was to see if I could raise maybe a little extra money for VoltCon. Maybe take it and raffle it off, and somebody could take it home and enjoy it. And the VoltCon staff really liked the idea, and then they ended up saying, we don't think there's any amount of money you get for that, so don't do it. And they actually offered to buy it off of me, but it was just, we kind of mutually agreed. It was just like, so it's better, it's officially VoltCon's Lions now, and I'll take care of any issues that they have that we can fix. But it's in a good home. It's enjoyed by everybody, so that's what really the main thing is.
Well, you're really generous.
Well, I don't have any, part of that is I don't have any space in my house for anything either too. So and try to transport all that stuff back and forth. It's like, what, if it could be in Indianapolis, that's fine. We'll just let that happen. No problem. I'm one of those people that I'd rather make it and let everybody else enjoy it rather than for it to sit in my house and collect dust. It's not much need for that. So if everybody can enjoy it, all the better.
Okay.
Nice. That's very, very awesome of you.
So how long did it take you to put that together?
That was actually about 3 months.
3 months.
And
Wow.
that was working, which is actually relatively fast.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's a lot faster to put something together and build something like that when you don't have to wear it. Because my Voltron took 6 months and about 300 hours.
Wow.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And I actually had to take 3 months off of that because I was building it originally for OhioCon in 2020, and I had no idea about VoltCon at the time. And of course, 2019 was the first inaugural year, and I found I was already making it, and I was taking my dear old sweet time trying to make sure everything was spot on and happy, and thought, okay, I can go this at a leisurely pace. I knew what I was up against, and someone sent me. I was on a Voltron site on Facebook, and someone sent me a link to VoltCon, and my first reaction was, "Oh, great! Now I got 3 months off my schedule to make this happen because there's no way I'm going to miss this."
Oh, wow.
And you just can't take that kind of coincidence. And I'm building a Voltron, and now comes a convention specifically for Voltron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't turn that down. So I had to really put my rear end in gear and get going on that. And I have to really give a lot of the credit to my wife, Amy, because she let me do that and put up with me the whole time of doing that, or should I say the lack of me being there to do that.
Uh-huh.
But I think she enjoys it too. So it was really good. And we made it with just enough time to spare. We put the last few fittings on it. My friend was coming with me. He helped me put the last few fittings on it that morning as we were leaving.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Down to the
when somebody
wire.
asked me when I finished it, I joked with them. I said, the paint is still wet. So, that's how you tell people when it comes down to the wire. It's like, we just finished it.
Okay. Well, coming into last year's VoltCon. Okay.
Yes.
You made something special for Greg and I,
Yes.
and we still can't stop thanking you for it.
Oh, it's not a problem.
This is the VoltCom's, because we were celebrating the 10th anniversary of Voltron Force, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And I was trying to think of anything I could think of for that, because I mean, it wasn't on very long, and I knew I didn't have enough time to make a Voltron. And so I thought, as I watched the show, and I never really got to watch it much because it seemed like it was on sporadically, and I could never find it. And then honestly, I'd forgotten about it. And so it came up, and I thought, well, what could be something that I could make for VoltCon this year? And then I went back and rewatched an episode. I think it was actually one of your guys' podcasts that was talking about one. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm gonna go back and rewatch this. And I saw the VoltCons, and I'm like, that's pretty awesome. Maybe I can make one of those. So I sat down, I tried to look at some pictures. Greg, I know you helped me a few times with sending me the direction of some material. Because I think it was what was it, the Mattel one that had released?
Yeah, it's San Diego Comic-Con 2011. Mattel had a really large booth that was showing off the Matty Collector 23-inch classic Voltron, as well as painted maquettes of the Voltron Force Lions and Voltron, and also mock-ups of the Voltcoms.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm aware, that mock-up was the only tangible version of the Voltcom until yours came along.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for that, because I was kind of flying blind. I was trying to find show references and hitting pause and everything else, but that picture that was out there really gave me really good reference, but I couldn't find a overhead view of it anywhere. So I had to kind of guesstimate, and hand draw it and redraw it, and then try to cut it out and see if it looked okay and hold it up. And I wasn't really sure about it at first until I put it together, because there's actually 3 separate pieces to that. And I wasn't sure how it would look until I actually put the top of the head over underneath, over top of where the mouth is, so the eyes would come out on the sides. And I turned the light on, and I was like, okay, I think I might have something here. But at first I made 2. I made red and green, and I thought, maybe I could take these to VoltCon and we could do something with them and show them off or whatever. And I made the first 2 relatively quickly. So I thought, well, why not? I'll make another 5 of them, or another 3. And so I made all of them. The only thing I couldn't find I found different mixed versions for Keith. Some said white, some said light blue. So it turns out the ones I found were more light blue than white. So I was like, well, I guess we'll go with that one. Sure, no problem. But so I made those, and I think, Greg, I mentioned something to you about making them, and because we kept it secret at the time. And I thought, well, you guys have always done such great things for that. And Greg, you put my Voltron on your Lions, Pilots, and Bots website, so thank you for that. Also, I know I thanked you a couple times before, but always thank you.
Well,
so I thought, well, you know what, you guys have always been great to me, and it's been a lot of fun. So why not just have a little surprise and make some for you too? So that's where it came up. And then if you remember when I asked you who your favorite Paladin was, that's why I wanted to find out, because I really didn't want to give you a green one if you really Pidge wasn't your favorite. So I thought, well, let's find out from you guys. So that's where it came up, and the presentation was a lot of fun, because I was chomping at the bit. I was like, I can't wait. Where are these guys at? And it was like, I didn't want to say, it's like, guys, hurry up and do whatever you need to do. I mean, I know you're saying hi to everybody, but I want to give you these things. Hurry up! But so I was excited to do it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm genuinely pleased that you guys like them.
Oh yeah, and what an amazing surprise, and very kind of you to do that for us.
And you also helped out Natalie, who was doing a Pidge cosplay costume from Voltron Force, which ended up winning, by the way.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing, because she had sent me a message, and ironically, I'd already finished the 2, and she sent me a message. She's like, hey, Eric, do you have any idea on how to make a Voltcom? And she sent me that through Facebook Messenger, and I sent her a picture back, and I funny you should ask me that. So I sent her the pattern that I had, and I said, you'll need to adjust this obviously for your size, because she's diminutive. And but I told her what I did, and I ended up taking LED, it's called EL wire, and electroluminescent wire. It's battery pack, and it's very, very flexible and thin. And it inside your guys' comms are about 19 feet of wire.
Wow.
Wow.
That's why they're the bright as they are. So it goes wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. Hot glue burns, and a little bit of words I probably shouldn't use, and so but that was that. But she actually took that and made her own. She took some other LEDs that are much less but much brighter, and she put those through, and the result was fantastic. She did great. And not only that, she took it a step further to make Pidge's Ninja Star out of resin, and put the same LEDs in there. And and also that helped her win the contest. But really, ultimately, what won the contest for her was that suit was made. And any cosplay contest you're going to be in, when you make it, that's going to be your guide right there. If you make it better than that, if you make it rather than buy it, that's going to win most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. Because judges really love the work.
We had Natalie on the podcast not very long ago, and she did thank you. She sent out, kudos to you again, and thanks again.
Yes, I saw that, and I was very flattered. I'm glad that she liked it, and it was a pleasure to help. I mean, the cosplay community is a great community to be in, because that's what everybody does. There's very little sports competition in it, where everybody's, I'm going to destroy you. It's or everybody's out to help everybody else. It's right. Hey, how did you do that? This is how I did this. And that's a starting point. And some people have an amazing talent for it, that they'll take it and go professionally. And I just do it as a hobby. I could never go professionally with it, but it's just a lot of fun. But I know that there's a lot of people out there that if I have questions, I'll shoot out an email or a text or a message on Facebook, and I'll get responses almost immediately.
So you also have loves other than Voltron that you've done in cosplay as well, right?
Oh yes, I've got a few.
So let's show people some of those. Let's start with your Robotech, right?
Okay. Well, I just happen to have that. Well, that would be this guy.
Holy moly!
Wow!
I've seen it in person, but it looks really great to see it all over again.
Yeah.
So this is an updated version of my original one. From Robotech. If everyone that doesn't know what it is, this is a Veritech Fighter, which is the best way you can put it is an F-14 Tomcat jet fighter that turns into a robot, and it has multiple stages. I didn't design my cosplay to do that, but the very first one was a different helmet. This is an updated version of the VF-1J, and the helmet is a lot sleeker. You've got a better eyesight lines. You've got two cannons on top, and the face is a little more like a face, where the first one was just kind of a flat surface and didn't look more robotic. This has a more humanoid appearance to it. It's a little more fun to make. But
you don't have much peripheral vision on that, right?
I have zero peripheral vision. I can see about if I had a friend of mine walking around with me today. She was walking in front of me, and she was probably 5 feet away from me. I could see her shoulder blades.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of requirements at cons that when you have cosplays like this, you have to have handlers to keep you from running into tables, people off an edge of a cliff, those kind of.
Yeah, nobody wants to fall down a flight of stairs.
No, yeah, stairs are my mortal enemy, because I seem to make all these different things. Like with let's see, for instance, everybody knows this guy. Well, all this is I just bought a pair of cheap Croc sandals, and I built it around it. Now, wow, I have large feet. I wear a size 15.
Wow.
these
You
are
have Voltron size feet already.
Yes, exactly. So when you add this part onto there, I figured roughly I've got about a size 22.
Hmm.
So I've got Shaquille O'Neal feet on a 6'2" body. So that's not.
And you can't walk normally. You have to walk so that thing stays on that foot part, right?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it staying on my foot. I mean, that works pretty well. But the problem is with yellow and blue being what they are, they're actually wrapped around hockey shin guards, because it has to be something on and off.
Wow.
Yeah, so I built it around the shin guards. I found something that I can put on my leg and keep it on, off, and on easily enough. Originally, I was going to use a catcher's shin pads from baseball.
Mhm.
Then the nice gentleman at the store said, you might want to use these instead. And that worked great. But the problem I had was I had to make it that was wide enough to fit my legs and put the lion's legs on and cover it, but yet small enough that I could still walk without crashing into each other.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
so
That's tough.
basically what I'm doing now is anybody wants to be representation of how it is to walk in these things. You've all seen hockey goalies with their pads on their legs, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Imagine that you're wearing hockey goalie pads and wearing swim fins. That's what it's like to walk in this Voltron. So there's the other part of two-dimensional characters coming to three-dimensional life that makes life not exactly easy to do. So there's those little things.
It's funny. When my daughter was young, she used to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. And, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and all those characters have enormous feet, which you don't really care about in a 2D cartoon, but that was done with 3D CGI
Yes.
of the mid to late 2000s.
Yes.
And watching the weird twists and turns their legs go through as they walk is pretty hilarious. And I guess you've got that for real.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fun. I mean, I was wearing a size 13 in junior high, and also going through my klutzy stage. So when you're a klutz and your foot hangs over about 2 or 3 inches of the stair, anyways, you fall down a lot. So so I've learned how to fall and not hurt myself. That's good. But so there's that.
Let me see if I can find some more shots of these Robotech ones that you have.
That was our shot of Patrick and Savannah and my friend Crystal. We all did a cosplay together, and we did our flight suits. And she, through Photoshop, took a picture of a toy. I believe that's the toy of an SDF-1 in the background, and photoshopped everyone in. Crystal's there on the bottom left, and that's Patrick O'Connor as Rick, and up at the top corner is Max. Myself as Ben Dixon, and then Savannah O'Connor is Miria.
Love that shot. That's great.
It was, we love it. Actually, it's kind of funny that shot was so popular that my mom downloaded it and sent it to a web store to make a t-shirt out of it. Surprised me for Christmas. Yeah, so that's great. Those are the helmets that you saw us holding in that picture.
Yeah.
That's the helmets. I made all those helmets, or actually, except for Patrick's is Rick. That was actual motorcycle helmet. But
that was an actual. Really?
Yeah, the one that he was holding down there, that was an actual motorcycle helmet. And
okay.
It was really neat. Yeah.
So I have to ask you, we'll get into the construction of these if you like, but one of the things that blows my mind about your work is that you take what pretty much has only ever existed in 2D and realize it in 3 dimensions. And that is very, very difficult for something with a lot of complex curves like these helmets. So please tell us how you did this, how you visualized this in 3D.
Was there a reference?
Yes, there was a reference. There was a gentleman at VoltCon, and for his privacy, I'm not going to give his name, but everybody knows who he is. And he had done a 3D print of the helmet.
Okay.
And it's a great print. And I thought, you know what, I wonder if I could make something like this. And it kind of went to the back burner. And then Patrick actually sent me a message, and says, hey, Savannah and I were doing a Maximilian cosplay, and we wondered, would you be able to make a helmet? And I was kind of like, okay, can I? Let's find out. So the helmet itself was really easy. I had converted a helmet kit that I purchased online to make the Voltron Paladin from the Legendary Defender helmet. And I just converted that to my needs, and then I wrapped the outer edge around it. The problem was the visor, because if you look on the show, if you remember the show, that visor goes different directions depending on the way you look at it.
Oh yeah.
If you look at it head on, it looks like it's straight, but if you look at it from the side, it looks like it goes down a little bit. So I didn't necessarily follow the main pattern for it. I followed the lines that the helmet was giving me, and the natural slope, so you can see at the front end where your eyes would be. Yeah, it right above, right to the side there, you see where the arrow is. Yeah, right in there. So you see how the visor kind of follows that line, and so I wanted the more aesthetically pleasing. Now, if this was a real fighter pilot, you'd be shot down within 30 seconds because you can't see up. You're moving your head around instead of your eyes.
But we're talking about anime in which the characters can't even see because their hair's in their face half the time.
Exactly. I mean, and then you see some shots where they'll go into space and it's a fully enclosed helmet, but when they're in Earth, then it's just a visor. And I'm like, how in the world?
Everybody just uses the Force. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So the force of animation is what I would call it.
Yeah.
But so I had done that, and I asked Patrick if he liked it, and they were very happy with it. So which made me happy. So then there's a picture of me holding mine. That says Ben Dixon. And there's another picture. I don't know if I sent this one to you, Mark, or not. There's a picture of me holding a steak. It's an artificial steak. If you know the picture, that's a great one there, because this is our photo or joke of the meme where the guy and the girl are looking at each other.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy's looking back. Well, that's the steak dinner, and anyone that doesn't know, my character Ben is sitting down to eat a steak, and he gets called away to go to a mission, and they show a picture of the steak, and then he gets his plane destroyed and he ends up passing away. So that's always that. So I have to include the steak dinner as part of the cosplay. So that's a lot of fun.
Okay, so let's go back to that costume you were showing us, right?
The Veritech, yes.
So that looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's
is that the original helmet or the revised helmet?
That is the revised helmet. I don't think I have any pictures of the old helmet. But this was actually that same photo or that photo shoot that I did with everybody. It was a great time. We spent I think we were there for 3 hours in an old warehouse. And this was actually my first cosplay I ever made.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Not bad for
made
the
it.
first time.
Oh, thank you. I started making it, and my brother had invited me to OhioCon in 2019, and he just asked me if I wanted to go. He's told me a little bit about it, and I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well try to make something. I've seen cosplays before. I thought it was a pretty big deal, so let me see what I could do. Couldn't think of anything at all, and actually Voltron came to mind.
Wow.
Man, that'd be great to be able to do that. And the next thought I had immediately was like, well, you're an idiot because you don't even know what you're doing. Why try to do something like that? So I was looking through, and I was almost ready to give up. And my brother had given me for Christmas one year a 172-inch scale of a Veritech Fighter. And I saw that and saw the lines. I saw, it's relatively square in terms of all the appendages. And maybe I can do that. And so I thought, again, my same principle. I started with the hardest part, which was the chest piece. And it's a little off to scale, but it was how it came out. Again, I'll take it for being my first one. But the cockpit area and the nose was especially the hardest part, because it's trying to get foam to be rounded for one thing, and to come to a point was something I really had no idea what I was doing. So it turned out I had to use a bench grinder and a lot of glue to get it to hold. And I was kind of getting a little bit discouraged with the way my progress felt. So I took it to my best critic, which happens to be my brother, because he'll tell you if it's great or if it's not great. And maybe not exactly those words, but he'll say it. And all I had was the actual first helmet and the chest piece. When I showed him the helmet, he kind of looked at it and he wasn't sure, and then he saw the chest piece and he said, "Looks like you're making a Valkyrie." And I said, "Okay, you got that, so that's fine. What do you think?" And he said, "I think you're going to blow some minds."
Nice.
So that's where that came from.
Nice.
And debuted it at OhioCon 2019. Probably only about 5 people actually knew what it was. We had quite a few people think it was a transformer. That's the generation you get into, so that's fine. But everybody really liked it. There it goes. We had a lot of fun with that one. So yeah, exactly. Well, you got to live it, if you're going to really enjoy the steak, then.
Yeah.
But I'm on a Robotech site and Facebook, and they'll see it, and that's one of the jokes is like, "Oh, steak dinner, and stay away from the steak," and then I'll send that picture, and they're like, "Oh, okay, too soon."
So there's that helmet again, and
that was actually a product one I had advertised on Facebook as for Patrick and Savannah. And a gentleman had contacted me and said, "Do you think you could make me one of Roy Fokker?" Like, yeah, sure, I suppose so. So that's actually the finished piece for Roy's.
Nice.
And last I heard, he had it sitting on his counter on display.
And then there's this other helmet.
That one, there's a great story behind that one. That's just a piece to the puzzle.
Yeah. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, that was for the Ted Koppler Tribute. Of course, everyone knows about Ted passing away last year, and never got to meet him, and that was my loss for that. But as everyone knows, Ted was the creator of Voltron. If it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. We definitely wouldn't be having this conversation, and we probably wouldn't all know each other. So
right.
VoltCon was extremely nice in terms of accepting emails to express their condolences for everyone. And that's something I really can't do. I tried 3 or 4 times to write an email. I can't put into words things like for sympathy. I mean, what do you usually say? "Sorry for your loss. If there's anything that we can do, let us know." I like to do more things that are more of a tribute, and so this was the result. Thought I actually got the permission from the VoltCon staff, and I said, "Here's what I'm thinking. I want to do a big shield," and to give you an idea of reference to how big that is bigger than my entire chest piece on the Voltron cosplay.
Right.
So that alone would fill my body. So and we had everybody at the con sign it, and the helmet goes with it, and there's even a blazing sword that goes with it. So that's a great shot actually with
this is
myself and Bob.
Yeah, this is you presenting it to Bob, right?
Yeah, we got that after being on stage. Where did I get that blazing sword idea from? But I thought one of the great tributes would be of military when they put the soldier's weapon into the ground and hang their helmet on it as its graves registration for World War II, and that's indicating that there was a fallen soldier there. And myself personally, I thought that having the helmet and the sword embedded in the ground is probably the best way.
That was was such an amazing idea and so well executed. And again, very generous on your part to make these, and present them as you did.
Yeah, Bob was extremely happy about that. I think both of us looked at each other on the stage. Both of us wanted to cry. Neither one of us did. It was just like, thank you. Okay, we're going. Let's.
Yeah.
But it was really, really good. And he sent me a very long and very touching thank you note. And it was really good. And the one part I missed on the helmet that I didn't mention is, if you look at it, each color of Voltron is represented as blue, red, black, green, and yellow. And there's actually the stickers on that helmet, and we printed them off, and through the help of Patrick and Kevin, they were actually able to print off the stickers, and I put the lions on each one for each color.
Yep.
Looks really, really nice. And of course, the helmet design itself, the shape is modeled after the original Voltron Force Pilot helmet.
I was even able to make the eye shield on it for that one. That was actually a very tricky thing for that. I bet it was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can do this or not. So, but it ended up working out really well.
What's that made from?
That's almost everything on there is all EVA foam.
Wow.
Which is basically just the floor mats.
Even the eye shield?
Well, that is actually,
it's going to be transparent, right?
That is actually, I think that's a clear Warbler.
Well, I didn't even know they made clear Warbler. Wow.
Yeah, that's actually what both my swords are. With both this one and the one I've got now, it's all clear. And Warbler is just a thermoplastic that you can heat up with a heat gun and mold it to whatever you need. And it's the aluminum frame still all the way down through the base of it. And I just shaped it what I needed and cooled it off. It gets very hot and very pliable. So if you don't do it fast enough, it'll get out of sync on you.
Wow. You even have the yellow forehead pendant there on the helmet as well.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
we're gonna have the details. We got to have them all. So let's go for that.
So you are very generous with all of your cosplay, all of the props that you've made and everything. It's just unbelievable. There's no end to your generosity. So we want to thank you for everybody that you've touched with your cosplay and your props and everything. Thank you.
Well, yeah, well, not just that, but not trying to diminish that at all, but at the panels that you've presented,
yes,
you provide such a down-to-earth introduction and to the cosplay world, and have been so generous with your time to not only give people tips and pointers and ideas, but also inspiration and motivational words to help people along their way, not just with the materials, but with their mindset. And those are such important and wonderful things to do. And so thank you on behalf of those that you've whose lives you've impacted in that way as well.
Well, thank you, but I wish I could take credit for that. But and again, in the cosplay community, it's more about paying it forward. If you learn something, you pass that on to the next person. And nobody really wants to take credit for your own personal work, but you're also giving credit for, I learned this from someone else. And a lot of times, if you learn something like a new trick that helps you, may not necessarily help the next person, but maybe they can take that tip and turn it into something of their own. So that's where it comes from. I mean, it is a very generous community. Everybody helps everyone else. And if they can share their talents, and some people are fortunate enough to make careers out of it. I'm not going to be that, but if they can do it, then it's great, because they get to set their own goal with their lives.
So I gotta ask, is there anything you can say about your cosplay plans for 2022?
I don't really. I have one thing that I have planned for VoltCon. It's not a full cosplay, but I can say that this year's focus is on vehicle Voltron.
Oh, nice.
And I am planning on trying to make something to represent that form. It's not going to be a cosplay. I don't have any kind of time to try to make a vehicle Voltron, and I know Pete White's going to be disappointed because he's been ribbing me about that for years. And until I can figure out how to make one that would actually transform as doing it due justice, because I figure I could make one that you could just wear, but where's the fun in that? So it'll just be, I have refurbished my original cosplay a little bit and updated it. Other than just the sword, I've gone through and touched up the seams through it, so they're a little less visible, so it looks more like one solid piece. But other than that, I haven't really had much time to try to think of anything, but I've got one little thing in mind, and there's going to be an opportunity for, if it works out, there's going to be an opportunity for someone to really enjoy it.
Nice.
So
Wow. Looking forward to seeing whatever you wow us with this.
so let's hope so.
Now, as you said, you're at Colossal Con,
I
right?
am at fall. Yes.
So instead of getting some well-needed sleep because he was out all day at Colossal Con, he's talking to us instead. So we thank you for your time for that.
No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Just for the week.
But what's going on at Colossal Con, and what kind of cosplays are you doing there?
Well, today we started off with with my friend Crystal. We did our Robotech. She started off with her Lisa Hayes flight suit, where I did Ben Dixon flight suit. We did that for a little while, took a bit of a break, and then she did an update, which she was the runner-up at VoltCon last year. If you remember, with her, it was Captain Hayes. She made that entirely all herself, which was phenomenal. But she wore that while I wore my Veritech. And tomorrow is going to be, well, tomorrow's main focus is on my wife. I'm going to be, to see if you can take a guess who this is going to be. Finish this off here. And so
Spaceballs.
yes. So,
I was going to salute you, but we might get censored.
family friendly show here, so we'll not do that. But I do have my fun little cosplay badge that's for the belt buckle.
Wow.
Okay, of course we all know the guys. We all know the family of people in the white suits, right?
Yes, we've heard something about their names.
Yeah, but we're not going to say what that is on this show.
Yes. But, we did have a fun time at Fanboy Expo last weekend, held in the convention center. I was wearing that, and some gentleman yelled out a certain line on that about being surrounded by certain people, and said, "How many of these guys do we have on here?" And I yelled out "Yo" just as part of the line. So everybody got a good laugh out of that. But tomorrow's main focus isn't on me. It's actually on my wife.
Yeah.
She has a spectacular cosplay from Wile E. Coyote from Looney
Nice.
Tunes fame. It was made from someone in Hong Kong. Her name is Cosplay Mandy Commissions. Anyone needs to check her out if they need any kind of suit, anything made. She does great work. So definitely check her out. I made a little extra bonus feature for this because it's Wile E. Coyote, and what is Wile E. without the Acme rocket?
Nice.
So it comes complete with a Roadrunner.
Nice.
And at the bottom of it, because it's a rocket, I have a fuse.
Nice.
So,
what is that fiber optic cable there?
That is one of those fiber optic wands. Got it on Amazon. Gosh, that's such a great site. I get in such trouble with it. And I just put it at the bottom here. There we go. Tuck it into the bottom, and
Nice.
That's
it's
wonderful.
hilarious. And it got so much attention last week. She was getting people coming, I gotta get a picture, and I think I got her hooked on some cosplays. And then again, because it's Wile E. Coyote, you have to have a calling card. And if anybody remembers any of the shows,
That's what he
It's-
gave to Bugs Bunny.
yes, he gave that to Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Wile E.
Yeah.
Coyote, super genius, have brain, will travel.
Ha,
And anyone that's going to be getting their picture taken with her tomorrow is going to be getting a business card. So
awesome.
gotta pass out the swag. There's a fun game that they go around here everyone makes ribbons. I'm not sure how it started. I don't know really the whole culture behind it, but they play ribbon games and you go around and see how many different ribbons you can have. And there's actually one here right underneath my VIP name badge that says, I like big bots. I cannot lie.
Love it.
So, but then there's one that says the Voltron Lions,
Nice.
Spaceballs. So there's a few on here that might make an appearance at VoltCon. I'm not 100% sure because one of the attendees really wants to start that there. So, hopefully we'll see some of those there. But
Nice.
she likes to have trivia questions to pass those out. So, but Amy's going to be Wile E. Coyote tomorrow, and I'm just going to be the follow along regular crew member that's going to be taking her picture a lot.
So you'll be
Nice.
able to see and walk.
Yes, and yeah, it's an unusual thing. I don't know how to deal with it. Usually, all my cosplays, I try to cover this up as much as I can. So, but yeah, that's one of the fun ones that I can just relax a bit. And then Saturday, I've entered the Voltron in the cosplay contest.
Mhm.
Don't know how it'll be. I'm not really. Yeah, I'm just happy to show it off. It's all the fans really love it. What really gets me is when you got little kids that come up and know Voltron, and that means they've been raised correctly. So that's always the fun.
That's fun.
Okay. So do you have any more questions for our esteemed guests there, Greg?
I could talk. We could talk with you for hours.
Yes.
And
As
but
long as you need to.
no, you've got to get on with your Colossal Con experience, and we've appreciated every moment that you've spent with us this evening to talk about your creations.
I'm glad to do it. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we really appreciated you coming on with us, and we got a chance to see inside the life of what you do as a cosplayer, what you do as a prop maker, and as just a fan of all these different things that we like as well. All the Robotech and the Voltron and everything else.
Everything
yeah.
just gets looked at as a challenge, and you have to step up and decide whether you want to do it or not. And anything worth doing is just doing it yourself. Have fun with it.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that
Yeah.
we said before this recording started was that anytime that Voltron, somebody dressed up as Voltron, walks into a panel, it brings the gaze of all the people in the audience to Voltron instead of who's in the panel.
Yeah, it's really amazing because I've had really 3 great experiences with Voltron, and it's more like 1 and then 2A and 2B. The 2A and 2B would be obviously the first time I walked into VoltCon. I walked in through that beaded door, and then everybody just stopped, and it felt like an eternity because you're being instantly judged, but everybody just really erupted and cheered. It felt great. And the 2B would be when I entered it at the first cosplay contest at OhioCon with it. I ended up winning a judge's award. But
Nice.
when I walked out into the stage, the crowd my brother especially noticed it because it went from maybe an 8 to an 11. Everybody just erupted. And it was great. The biggest thing though was right after the first VoltCon. It was near Halloween, and my mom had invited me to my hometown and said they were doing a trunk or treat for Halloween, and it was at the community church, and if I'd like to come up and maybe help pass out candy or just show off the Voltron. I'm like, hey, why not? Let's have some fun with it.
Mhm.
So it's a very small church, and they probably had 200 people inside of it because they were supposed to have it outside. It started snowing, so they decided to move it inside, and a lot of people, but kids were coming along, enjoying it. Some kids were terrified of me. It was, typical thing. But at the end of the night, when everybody was leaving, I pulled everything off and I just kept blue and yellow on because I had to walk outside for something. And I went to the front door and there was a girl there. And if I had to guess, she was probably 12 years old. And she said, I knew it. And I said, what? And she said, I knew there was somebody inside that thing. I was like, yeah, you caught me, that's great. But she said, thank you. And I was like, for what? I'm just here. And she said, you let me meet a character I've always wanted to meet.
Oh, that's
Oh.
touching.
Yeah. And I was like, thank you. And I just, opened the door and walked out. It's like, I can't deal with this, So, but that was probably the best moment I've had with that thing. It's great.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. That was great.
Mhm.
We're going to close out this episode of Let's Voltron, and we want to thank Eric for joining us, right, Greg?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
And good luck with Colossal Con, and say hello to your wife for us. And we'll see you all next time on
Let's Voltron.